Hello. It's me, Lou, in the car. Cuck Wednesday. I know I normally don't park on Cuck Wednesday, but sadly, due to circumstances this week, I had to park. I went walking out last night looking for a spot to see if someone had moved out of a Alpha Tuesday spot, but alas and alack, there was a lack of parking spots for Tuesday spots, and I could not move the car into place where I would not be forced to wake up early and get in the car. As I posted on the title of this post of Alternate Side Talking, in my apartment are two children who are currently have some sort of stomach bug. One's almost out of the woods, but the older one is just getting started and was throwing up all night in the bathroom next to my bedroom. So that's not so great. Not for anybody involved. Not for the puker, and not for the people who have to listen to every 15 minutes or so. Seemed like a pretty miserable night for everybody involved. But I hope you're all well. I am clearly tired. I'm on Hicks Street here in Pineapple Street. Not my normal, beautiful Pineapple Street. I mean, I'm in Brooklyn Heights, of course. I'll raise myself up just so I don't fall asleep here in the car while I'm talking. It's a likely possibility. So I hope everyone's having a delightful morning and not moving their cars. It's just New York stuff. Hashtag New York stuff. Hashtag slaves of New York. Moving the car and whatnot. Let's see, what else is happening in the world? The shooting in Vegas, Puerto Rico. Things are crazy. And on top of that, all the other weird terrorism crap that's going around. It's funny how all the comedy websites, The Onion, this sort of relatively newer one, the hardtimes.net, been posting lots of great satire regarding the anti-gun control responses to people being like, no one should have a gun they can shoot that far. Their responses being like, he would have killed people somehow eventually. What are you going to do? I mean, there's so many people who want to have that argument. And the counter argument is always like, people are going to die. Somehow. Don't take away the option of me killing them from a great distance away. Or up close and personal. Would you want to outlaw people get killed with cars all the time? You want to outlaw cars? Yeah, right. Well, you need a license to drive a car. But they're different, I guess. Anyhow, so sitting in the car stinks. I've gotten out of the habit of asking people to sit in the car with me, which kind of is also a bummer because it's worse to be here alone. But if you'd like to come sit in the car with me, please do. It's weird. Like, I had some good momentum with people sitting in the car with me in the early summer until vacation, and since I came back from vacation, I've been sorely lacking. I don't like to put people out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like to, bug people, which is a problem. I should be much more into bugging people. People like to be bugged. I just know I don't like to be bugged, so maybe I'm hoping. I don't even know what I'm hoping. It's that kind of morning. Yeah, that's one of the things where in the past, I've been like, I really want to do this idea. Like, I want to shoot this short film idea I have, but I just don't want to bother people to come help me do it, which is why a lot of the things I do alone, because I'm only bothering myself. This is not a breakthrough, okay? I know you probably were like, ooh, Lou is doing some deep psychological investigation of himself. Really introspective. This is not the case. I have a somewhat decent handle on all of my motivations and other shit. So I just talk about it out loud to myself in the car. But yes. And it's easy enough to do some of the things I like to do alone. I'm sure that my college roommate would say, yeah, I can hear you doing it through the wall. You gonna run out of Kleenex in there? Masturbation joke. Check. But anyhow, what else is happening in parking news? In parking news, I'm on a much busier street than I normally am. My wife, Jody, she does not like to park here on Hick Street because she feels it is too busy. She's concerned the car will be hit. Good morning, Billy. It is, sadly, I had to park on a Wednesday this week because it is, I had things to do yesterday and I could not be back at 4:30 to move the car back. So we opted for Wednesday, which is a much less stressful parking day as far as like people, as I've mentioned, people don't move their cars into place. I mean, there's still people who haven't moved their cars at 7:40. This rarely happens on Tuesday, or Alpha Tuesday as we call it. Cuck Wednesday, everyone's just chilling in their cars, not even worried about moving them. But I do. So I'm still out here at 7 being like, oh my God, I need to be in the car. Someone's going to stay on my spot. And then coming back tonight, it won't be as stressful either. I appreciate you trying to find me yesterday to try to be on the show. Unfortunately, like I said, I was catching up on some past due tax nonsense. And then I went and had dinner with my mother on the Upper West Side, where there's the amount of parking over there it's about the same as here. It's just as frustrating, except in my mom's neighborhood, you can park on both sides of the street. So on alternate side parking day, it's all double parking on one side, and then you have to have your, back in the day, your pager number in the window of the car if you left the car. Now, I had a spot this morning that was over on Clark Street, on the other side of Clark Street, the Gristidi side of Clark Street. And that is a 9:30 to 10:30 or 11 spot where I just would have to sit in the car for 90 minutes, wait for the street sweeper to come by, and then move back into my space. But I have to go to work, so I don't know who has the time to go and move their cars. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Billy is saying that I need to pay my taxes. I'm a sovereign citizen of of my own country, so I don't have to owe any taxes. And whenever police pull me over, I really give them an earful about my rights and the federal papers and Federalist papers and stuff like that. So it goes over big. I like to flex my rights. I quote a lot of pseudo legal knowledge that I know about my rights and when I do and don't have to do. And the cops often insist that I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about. But hopefully one of these lawsuits will stick and I'll be able to get a big payout from the city. That is not true. Although we were just talking about my friend Constantine, who sat in the car with me earlier in this year and sweated up the seat because he ran here from the Upper West Side. This guy's getting out of this car. This guy's feeling bold. So my friend, we were talking about, there's a thread on this Upper West Side Facebook group that I belong to, where people were like talking about how many of you were mugged in this thread. And it's a lot of people in this thread. And so I shared some stories of my youthful negative encounters with people who wanted to take my money and or just assault me randomly. And it was really irking me. There's so many people there. So it's sort of like, share your stories of like sort of being traumatized as a child by violent encounters. And some people just couldn't help themselves and be like, nope, never happened to me. No, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know. That never happened. And someone would be like, I got mugged there. I lived there my whole life. Never got mugged. Like, great for you that you were never randomly chosen to be, made to feel helpless as a child, and or as an adult. Some people were mugged, and so it's like a lot of stories from the 70s and 80s about being held up at gunpoint and knife point. But it really irked me. And then the people who were like, I was never mugged, were also like, it must be the way I carry myself. I must be, insinuating that people who were mugged were like inviting victimhood on themselves. I mean, sure, I used to walk around carrying a lot of money in my hand, visible. And I also used to wear a lot of gold chains. I flaunted it. If you got it, flaunt it. So I was like, a fan of Benjamin Franklin's. That's going to get the ladies. They love it. Especially the prostitutes. But I was just sort of like, I went to a fancy lads private school, and I had to wear a blazer. And so that was like, I will say that to a certain degree, in that age of New York City, wearing a blazer and loafers on certain days was sort of like throwing breadcrumbs out for the pigeons, as far as attracting predators, blood in the water, as they say, as Hillary Clinton put them, super predators. And they, so after a few negative encounters, I learned to leave my jacket at school and wear like an army jacket. And like Mr. Rogers, I would change into my alter ego of terrible student, terrible middle school student at expensive private school. A superhero whose power was to be victimized in the street when he wore his blazer. So I went to Trinity School before I went to McBurney, where Sean Futterman, who just joined, also went. When I went to Trinity, it's a very excellent school in that at the time was surrounded by two amazingly terrible public schools, which led to weird confrontations. But, what are you going to do? I found personally that the people who were saying like I never got mugged or it must be how you carry yourself were typically of the I was going to get into some like racial politics of the complexion of those who mugged me. But it's New York was different back then. Not that you can't get mugged today. As I said in one of my posts, being mugged is not about your attitude or how you carry yourself, although you can exude feelings of, or you can make yourself appear dangerous or someone you don't want to fuck with. But if you run into the wrong person who has the right motivations, it doesn't matter how you carry yourself. They will pull a gun on you, or a knife, or just threaten you, or just beat the shit out of you. I remember during the height of the Pokemon craze, there was that dude who was like trying to catch a rare Pokemon outside of the Museum of Natural History on the Upper West Side, and filmed himself getting his jaw broken and his brand new Galaxy whatever phone stolen out of his pocket. And then, and it broadcast the entire, that was an iPhone, and it broadcast the entire way of the guy hitting him, stealing him, and the guy being like, don't take my phone, and then like running, and then going through all the menu options to reset and delete the phone into its, carrier fresh state. So that was not that long ago. So it's even better now. You can really film all your own victimizations if you like, which is rare. Most of the time people film their own crime sprees. It's rare that you get caught on camera being a victim. It irked me for a while that these guys were so nonchalant and seemingly not empathetic to the idea of like, oh man, a lot of people got mugged back then. And some people were like, I got mugged 6 times in a year. A lot of people. And someone was like, oh, like I had my bus pass stolen every week. And they're like, oh, I didn't count bus passes being stolen as being mugged. Like, so being forced to give up your bus pass by by a bunch of kids who just were like, give me your fucking bus pass or I'm going to knock your teeth out. Yeah, but that's just a bus pass. That is still being mugged. I think later in life, I think like all my victimhood stuff was like 15 and under. And then after that, I would get robbed while I was not paying attention. So like I had like my Walkman stolen out of my backpack and stuff like that. I still remember that. That was a real drag. It was when I was at McBurney, and everyone was hanging out at the wall. So like our school, which was right next to Central Park West, people would always hang out at the Central Park West wall and smoke cigarettes and hang out after school and at lunch. And me, I think, and Kostas Mavrakakis and this guy David, I don't remember his last name, Shield, I think that was his graffiti tag. I don't remember his last name, but he's a nice guy. Kind of shaved his head all the time. He was kind of more arty type than skinhead type, but he that's true. At co-op board meetings do become the next level of mugging in your life. But everyone was hanging out at the wall and in Central Park on 63rd or whatever it was, and we jumped over the wall to play Frisbee, which sometimes people did because there was some space behind the wall to play Frisbee, and we were having a great time. And when we climbed back up the wall, everyone was gone, and my backpack, which I had left thinking everyone would still be there, had just been ransacked. And like I had my boombox, I had a little Sanyo boombox that I loved because it was like crazy loud for the size, had been stolen. And I mean, I was fucking furious at the person who stole it, and at the fact that everyone was just like, oh, I guess we'll just all take off for some unknown destination and leave these backpacks here. Why not? We can see these guys playing Frisbee, but we're teenagers and we are driven by whatever the fuck is driving us at this point in our lives, so let's bounce. So that was a drag. But yeah, never. I don't think as an adult I've been shooken down or whatnot. I've definitely I'm much scarier now. I think most people would agree. Boo. At least my ideas in politics are. So when someone approaches me and is like, "Yo, give me your money," I'm just like, have you heard about the Federalist Papers? I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't have to give you my ID. All that kind of stuff. And then I took over the Bureau of Land Management buildings because I'm a patriot. Oh, man, I made this car super hot because it was super cold before. That's better. Yeah. Okay. Am I looking forward to this year being over? Kind of. It would be nice. But that would just mean I'd be closer to having to do my taxes again, which I do not look forward to doing. But it is with a sad heart that I have to inform you that my time in the car this morning is done. For you, that is. For me, I'm happy to be able to get out of the car, even though I'm going back into an apartment filled with people vomiting. Some kind of norovirus or something in the house. Ace was up all night puking. So, I got that to look forward to. I look forward to my hands being dry from all the Purell I'll be soaking myself in so that I don't end up vomiting all night. But we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Stay tuned on Facebook because I'll be tweeting about my illnesses. You're welcome. See you guys later. And thanks for tuning in.